So we're all welcome. In the course of the week we've all had different encounters. So I picked up 4 lines from a friend on solitude. I'm out of humanity's reach. I must finish this journey alone. Never hear the sweet sound of speech. I start at the sound of my own. Something like we were talking about last week, or was it the week before? The week we all got upset. Was that last week? Wow. And you've come back?
Yes.
Okay. So there's something happening here. Something happening here, I don't know. On solitude. You know, when I was working in the Middle East, these very, very flighty, young, fully spirited men, you know, bringing them down to calmness. And the first part of coming to stillness is bringing the mind and the body into one location. And that is the most difficult thing to do. Keep the mind and the body in the one location. And the only location that can be is in the body, nowhere else. And when you're trying to explain the difference between here and there, here is always the body where you are, isn't it? And there is where we project outwards. No matter where you are in the body geographically, you're always here. There is never a there. You can never get there, can you? No matter where you go physically, you cannot get there. You're still here, in the body. Coming to stillness behind the activity of our working week and the frustration of our minds is bringing the mind into the same location as the body, and that is being present, being where the body is. And that's the first step in meditation. It's what meditation is all about. I think your sign isn't working out there. It probably needs to be in Polish. No, you're okay. Thought you would sort them out. That's lovely. I mean, you've seen the fish called Wanda, and the guy going to apologize. Yes. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm terribly sorry. Yeah. So meditation is coming to stillness. Before I can come to stillness, I must get my mind and body into one location. Coming back into the body where life is in the first instance. Life is nowhere else but in the body. That's your truth. It's the universal truth, isn't it? Only in your body, it's nowhere else. Of course I see life outside of myself, but that's external to me. I cannot be that life outside of myself. I can only be life where I am in my body, here and now. Which means that I am life in this body listening to these words. There is life nowhere else outside of me. Anything outside of me I see is a reflection of the life that's within me in this body. Listening to these words, I'm just speaking them. We're endeavoring to do here, just coming into stillness in our being. And that's coming out of the mind, coming out of our opinions, our beliefs that we're working to in our day-to-day living. Just going back into the stillness of who and what we are in the body. And coming to rest in this stillness. And it seemed to work with these high-spirited young men in the Middle East, coming into stillness and gradually bringing them back out of sometimes the madness of their worlds. And we're all in the madness of our own worlds. And one thing bringing our attention to is this inner aloneness. And they picked it up as a good quotation. Alone I am born, which is true. Alone I live, which is true. And alone I must die, which is true. So the life that I am in this body, I am here alone, in this body, listening to these words. Everyone external to me is a projection of that life that I see around me. But even if I die with 1,000 people dying simultaneously, I still must die alone. So it's just realigning to the aloneness, to the oneness of my being. And that's bringing us in from the periphery of who we think we are. And it's a very, very easy step-by-step process coming into the stillness of our being. My mind is external to me. You can see that in your own experience. You think and you go out. So even the mind is an external activity. When you go into the stillness of the body and come further in, we find that the body is an external activity. Even this body. We're all returning to the stillness behind the body in meditation. On solitude. I am out of humanity's reach. I must finish this journey alone. Never hear the sweet sound of speech. I start at the sound of my own. And that quite reflects what we're speaking about. I'm out of humanity's reach. I must finish this journey alone. Never hear the sweet sound of speech. I start at the sound of my own. This is coming back in. We hear the great avatars and great masters of time over time. And we hear of the man Nicodemus, the sage philosopher who spoke to Jesus in all these historical accounts. And Jesus is saying to him, unless one is born again, one cannot enter the kingdom. If it's being born again. So what is this being born again? Way back in the line, look at it here. I start at the sound of my own. Coming back into this stillness. Coming home. And if we live from this stillness, and all our activities in life are coming from this stillness, and we don't have any issues in our life, because we're not crashing on the particular, then there is love in my life, because my life is an expression of love. And you could say that is me, that is the original me in that body, listening. There's the me in the body speaking. There is only one me, isn't there? Only one. That's the me who addresses your own true being. There is only one I, the I in that body listening. It's the only I, alone. Everyone else is a you, isn't it? This hearing the resonance of truth in this in your own experience is bringing us back into the stillness behind the mind. Because my mind is an evaluator, isn't it? It's measuring, equating, evaluating, reacting from opinions. It's very difficult to come back behind the program, because we're all programmed, going to our position, placement in space and time. And we're all in a different place in space and time, all of us. We spoke last week about when is your birthday? When were you actually born? How far back can you go in memory? When you really look at it, look into the mind, memory cells, you see you can't really go back that far. You have flashes of certain things from childhood, certain experiences, but you can't even remember all of yesterday. You remember the gist of it, the general idea of what you did yesterday, but go into any specific area that wasn't too imprinting on the mind. You don't remember. So it's not reliable. Even our memory is not reliable. The only thing you can be sure of is here now. And what is now? And we're looking at this to give us something to focus and meditate upon. Is now time. And of course, as the mind sees it, it is time. It's the present. And then you read all these books about now and the present. But the present is not the same for all of us. It's different for each and every one of us. How much present can you see now? So even the present is not a fixed measurement. To give us an example of this, if you're standing at ground level, you can only see a certain distance, and that's in your purview, in the present. This is your presence, as far as you can see out in the immediacy of where you are at this moment. If you're at a higher altitude, you can see much farther. So the person at a higher altitude you could say, has a broader expanse of present than the person down on the ground. If you're up in the crow's nest of a toll ship, you can see over the horizon where the people on deck are seeing. Two different presents, isn't it? And that's only putting it out physically, looking at the physical vision. So even the present isn't constant in time. So we are in this movement of time, which is ongoing present. That's all it is, within our purview. External, looking out through the eyes, and internal, looking in at myself, isn't it? At my psychological image of who I think I am. Then who am I? Not I the speaker, but who am I? What is this journey all about? What am I? We don't look at these questions because there is no answer really through the mind. But if we can come to the stillness of the question, and just let the question resonate, who am I really? Projected consciousness, alone I was born, alone I live, and alone I die. But who am I? The mind rushes us away from that. It doesn't want to look in. The mind is always getting into an activity. And we went pretty deep here one night, was it last week or the week before, just cutting deep in a shake-up. And somebody mentioned, this could drive you mad, crazy. And that is the nature of the projected consciousness of who I think I am, my person, my persona, who I think I am. And this is what I'm serving and working through all of the time. You could say this is my encampment and my enslavement. I am enslaved by myself, who I think I am, caught up in my projected needs, wants, desires, have to fix it. My world I project around me. And then we look at world. And each of our worlds are different. So the world is what I project through my mind, through this person who I think I am. And it correlates to all of the projections in my immediate purview, and this becomes a group world. Then we have a group projection, we have a group consciousness of who we think we are. And all these issues and constellations, anguishes are arising in this projection, aren't they? Until suddenly someone, or you get a pain in the heart, or you get a spasm, or suddenly death is knocking on your door. And immediately, all of your serious issues are gone, pushed aside. Because now a reality is calling, there's a reality check hitting you. The realization that death is imminent or something like that. It's sad that we get so caught up in the projection of who we think we are that we don't realize the value of life in our being until the moment of physical death, if we're still in a conscious state to see it. And then you're looking at it, oh my God, I have been life. Gone, I missed it again. We spoke sometime this week or last week about if you have to go under an anesthetic in the hospital sometime or other, when you go completely out, and you will notice from the time you woke up that is in the same instant that you take the ether or whatever and you go under, and doctors operate for 3 or 4 hours or whatever time it takes on the physical body, and the next instant you wake up to the pain after the operation. Well, where were you all that time? Where was myself all that time? No activity, no mind, no projection. We were just out of the picture and back again. That can give us an intonation of how fickle this projected consciousness is, the world that we perceive ourselves to be is. It's gone in an instant when you're knocked out. And it just rewinds or continues again when you're switched back in, and you come back into the consciousness again. So what happens when we physically die? What happens to this projected consciousness of who we think we are? We can't say we know because we don't. We can't offer any theories on it, but it's only speculation. But what we can do is pay attention to the fact of what we are now in this projection through our minds. And when we're attentive to this in our day-to-day activity, when we're awake to it, when our consciousness, inner consciousness awakens to it, we can see we have less problems in our life. Because whatever is an issue, we deal with it now. We don't have any problem with it, whatever it is. So if we have a problem in our life, it shows that I'm not awake. I'm not in the now. I'm not consciously awake. I'm in that projected shadow of consciousness that goes out like a light under ether if you go to the hospital. It's gone. It's only a shadow. And that is where my living activities are occurring, all my pains and troubles and tribulations, falling in love, falling out of love, all this stuff. It's all going on out there in the external part of me, which is myself. So myself is the projection of who I think I am. If I'm born here in Catholic Ireland, I'll probably be a Roman Catholic or something like this in relation to my conditioned state. If I'm born in the Middle East, I'll probably be a Muslim in relation to my conditioned state. Born in India, probably be a Hindu in relation to my conditioned state. Projected consciousness. And all of these presentations of religions, whatever they are, serving their purpose in society. But when we turn the torch inwards to look into what's behind my projection, who am I? Why are we afraid of that? What's keeping us from seeing the, you could say, the unreality of myself, my own, this world I project? It's not real, because it keeps on changing and disappearing. And I'm trying to make it permanent. And I'm even pretending to myself it's permanent. I'm going to fix this, and when I get this fixed, it's going to be all right. I'm in control, myself. I'm always manipulating situations and circumstances to suit my needs according to how I see it myself. And then somebody comes along and says, you are in a dream. Just wake up. Please wake up. And we refuse to wake up. We just jump on into another section of the dream. And if the person keeps shaking us, wake up, we might end up attacking that person. So get out of here. I'm all right. But we're not really awake. We're not really conscious to the immediacy of who we are behind this projection, of who we think we are. And the speaker is saying, there is me in the first instance, only me in this body, which is life in the first instance. There's no other life outside of me in this body. And I'm speaking of the body, you are, not just the speaker, I'm just putting words on it. There's only one I, one me, and that is in the body listening to these words, there's the body speaking. And then next to that is myself, and that is the conditioned self according to its space and location in the projection. Just a passing occurrence. We build our houses of permanence on bridges, just moving bridges. Everything is a bridge here, just moving, moving, moving. We have this concept of ownership. You know, what do you own? What do you really own? Is there anything you own? What can you possibly own? And yet myself will say, well, I bought my house and I paid for it, I own my house. I own these clothes. So when we look at the naivety of that, of the thinking pattern, that we actually think and believe we own something. What can you own? The man gets a heart tremor, he's rushed to hospital. Where is his kingdom then? Where are you now? So we can own nothing really, can we? I don't even own this body, do I? But yet I see myself sees it as mine, my body, doesn't it? And we're caught up in this projected consciousness, which is an expansion of our dream world, really. There used to be a television program some years ago called, was a Star Trek Enterprise. And there's something on it called the holodeck. Very well written, I suppose, the holodeck. And the holodeck was a place where these robotic beings living on this spaceship would go to live out a projection for entertainment. So they'd key in a sequence and they'd go into this special chamber, and they would act out to be in the 15th century here on Earth, or the 19th century or 18th century, whatever. And every now and then one of them would get so engrossed in the holodeck that he would become part of his projected world, and they'd have to send somebody in to rescue him, get him out of it. There was one character in Star Trek, I think he was called Data or something. He was made up by all computerized, robotic creatures, so he didn't have emotional feeling or attachment to anything. So they could send Data in to rescue the guys who had gone in and crashed on the projection where they entered, be it the 15th or 16th century or 20th century or 21st century or whatever. Which is a nice metaphorical expression of what we're talking about here. So we are here in this projected consciousness, in this limitation of human intelligence that is the human mind, and we crash on it through our attachments and our persistent belief that I know it, I can sort it out myself. And here we are waiting for Data, the robotic guy, to come in to pull us back out, say, you're only in a holodeck, only in a projected world. That is all it is. But when I go under ether in the hospital to have operation done on the physical body, this goes out. There is no continuity. It's just gone. And this projected self, I give it a soul, and I say help the Saviour to save this soul. And it's just a projected dream. There's no reality in that either in relation to it. I'm not getting the deeper message. I'm not connecting to what's behind the projector. In other words, I'm not awake. I'm still in the dream. Krishna will save me. Muhammad will save me. Jesus will save me. And we're locked up into projection in the dream. It's not the reality either. It's real in the projection. But it's not the deeper reality of who and what I am. In that body listening. There is something deeper in me. But it's not coming through my mind. My mind is myself. My mind is my world. My mind is a circumference around me, as far out as I can see, that is all. And I take that as my world, and I set up everything in relation to my belief structures, who or what I think I am, within that limitation. And I'll fight to the death to protect it or defend it. That is my consciousness, who I think I am. And what we're doing in meditation is just coming to stillness to allow an expansion to occur. Just coming to a realignment with that is deeper within me. And it's only here now we have a chance to wake up. It's only here now. We cannot postpone it. If we look at the Jewish people, bless them, there may be Jews among us, I don't know, but their entire belief structure and religion is a religion of waiting. It's waiting for their Saviour, waiting for their Messiah. That's the entire foundation of their belief structure. It's a belief structure of waiting. And then Jesus came among them, said, here I am, I've arrived. But the conditioned state could not accept that. Jesus was a Jew, by the way. He was born a Jew, he died a Jew. Christianity didn't start for 200 or 300 years later. The condition is a conditioning of waiting. So I have no space for arrival. I'm here. But what did they do? They killed their Messiah. The conditioning of the projected consciousness. So the conditioning keeps us entrapped in our own entrapment. So what are we waiting for? Say, yes, that's okay. Well, I'll get my issues sorted out, work on all these problems, and then I'll get around to doing this type of stuff. And we put this second or third, we're way down the list. And we never get anything sorted. Because when I am not in alignment with my true nature, then all I'm doing is creating further disturbance. My life is always out of sync. Always out of sync. So I have to come to see the reality of putting first things first. And the first thing is getting my life right. Then I can deal with my world. whatever is happening in my world, and deal with it accordingly. See the situation, see the fact of what's presenting itself in my life, and just respond to the fact, and deal with the fact only. Not with my impression of what I want it to be or what I think it is. Because we live in impressions. The mind is a projection of impressions, while fact is in my face. The truth is in the fact, it's not in the impression. I may be in a relationship, it might be a new relationship or an old relationship with another person or human being or whatever. I see the impression. I'm in a relationship with the impression of how I think it is. And the fact may be completely different. And of course, living the impression world creates more world and creates more disturbance. And hence we have lawyers, we have courts, we have all of these things going on, all of these consequences rolling on, because we're all trying to sort out the crashing of impressions. An expectation, what I expect. So then I don't see the other person, I only see what I expect of the other person. And this is coming to the stillness, to see the makeup of myself, just myself. And when we come to meditation to serve myself, it's just more of the projection, just more of the disturbance. It's not taking us anywhere. When we come to meditation just to return to the stillness without any expectation, put anything on it, then something might occur within me, that this self might loosen up and start dissolving, start falling away. But the fact is, there is no disturbance in me. There never is a disturbance in me. Not me the speaker, but me in the body listening. There never is a disturbance in me. That is a fact. But don't believe that. Look deep enough in your own experience. When a disturbance arises in the body, it's myself. And myself is my projected consciousness, who I think I am. Come unto me and have rest. Who is this me? In your being, not outside of you. The mind puts it outside of you. Puts it onto another person or another idea or a deity, some god or other. It's in your being. It's within. Once we're in alignment with this, then whatever I do in my external life, I'm doing it rightly, whatever it is. It's happening rightly. There's no condition on me. Love happens rightly, because love just is. But myself isn't love. Myself knows nothing about love. All myself knows is what it wants, what it needs. It's just in a movement all the time, there's disturbance there all the time. Just going for its next fix. That's myself. In everybody. In everybody. That's the self. And when we come into the stillness of being, what we're speaking on, then you can read any holy book, any scripture or anything, and connect with the message behind the words, and really come into alignment with your inner truth. Outside of that, it's just another appeasement. We see it in our prayers. Any of us who pray might go into a church or whatever to pray. Are you praying for something? Always praying for something. Save me from this, save me from that. Grant me this, grant me that. What sadness. You really look at it. How can I be so sad in the eyes of abundance when I, in the body, am all of it? The only prayer is gratitude. Say thank you, life. Just thank you. Or whatever it is. Thank you. And when we move into this finer energy, we're moving away from the coarse fossil fuels of the physical. Moving into the finer element of our being. For you're all of it. The speaker can only speak that. The truth of it resonates in your direct experience. But what the speaker is saying is not the truth. They're just words. The truth is in your direct experience. In you. What's being said is only a reflection of that. Resonating with that. So I'm coming in through the world, bringing my mind out of all my problems and my issues I'm projecting out there, coming back into the alignment of my being in the body. Mind and body in the one location. And now I'm in a state of meditation. And in this state of meditation, I live my life without issue. Even if I'm diagnosed with an incurable disease, I only have months to live. Don't have to make a problem of it. I'm in alignment with my being. This body comes and this body goes. Who am I? In that body, who am I? And just let the attention be on that in meditation. Who am I in the body? Because we're moving gradually here into this state of awakeness, wakefulness, and then living our lives. There are no rules, regulations, no morality, no codes of conduct, because it's all in this. This is the oneness we speak of. So shall we come to meditation? In the stillness of my being, I am out of humanity's reach. I must finish this journey alone, never hear the sweet sound of speech. I start at the sound of my own. It's just coming to the inner sound in your being. As Jesus said to Nicodemus, unless one is born again, one cannot enter the kingdom, which he also said is within us. It's within. And that's coming back into the sweet sound of the stillness behind this projected self, who I think I am. And we place our attention on the sensation of life in the flesh. This is merely to give the mind something to focus upon. And we normally look at the sensation in the face, from within, in the flesh. Just coming in behind all of these masks we wear, letting them go, letting them fall away. Being conscious of the sensation in the lips and around the eyes, behind the ears. Just the shape of the head. Being conscious of the shape of the body on the chair, the frame on the chest, and the shoulders. And letting tension go, just letting it fold from the shoulders down to the stomach. The deeper stomach being the psychic furnace, just converting energies, clearing up the dross. Feel the tingling sensation in the legs and the feet, keeping the toes open and being conscious of the air between the toes, the arms, the hands, fingers open, letting everything go, being conscious of the air between the fingers in this sense of openness, letting everything go. And we focus our attention on the solar plexus, which is just below the chest, just connecting to that inner spiral, just coming inwards into deeper inner space, your inner space, coming into the subtle body before it takes form, and resting in the stillness of this place, deep within. And from this stillness, bodies come, bodies go, where I am. When a thought enters the mind, letting it go. Not entertaining it, just letting it go. Just focusing the attention on the sensation of life in the flesh. Just knowing that I in that body am life. I am this life. And feeling the gratitude for this life in the body. And just focusing on the well-being in the gratitude for life as it is now. No entertainment of thoughts. No expectations. Just being in the moment, in the body. And remaining in this stillness, just bringing our attention to the sensation of life in the flesh, brought into the physical body, bringing this stillness, allowing it to flow into our projecting worlds for the week ahead. And living at the speed of this stillness, simply being true to the situation in my life, whatever it is, without any expectation. If I have any expectation rising in me, I'm not being true to the situation, and I'm not being life in the first instance. I'm losing, slipping out the projection. And the attentiveness that's there when I am living in the moment, being true to the situation, is love, the attentiveness of love. As soon as myself moves on it, it's instantly transformed to expectation, what I want, what I need for myself. And it's tarnished. And I'm slipping back into the confusion of my projected world. It's as simple as that. But it's not easy, because myself is the distraction. Myself is always pulling me away from the stillness of my inner being, of my true nature, creating more world and creating more disturbance. That's the nature of the self. My acquired nature. In the stillness, all my issues dissolve. And with that, everyone in my circumference, and when I speak of me and my, I'm speaking me and I in the body listening, as well as the body speaking. When I am in this stillness, in my activities, during each working day, each day as it passes, then this stillness emanating from me is resonating with the true nature of all of those in my surroundings. By not even speaking or passing anything on, you are bringing the stillness to the world. You are dissolving the disturbance in the world as it appears about us. Changing the world is simply changing myself. Just seeing myself as the projecting disturbance. That's the only place I can attend to it. Nowhere else. Only myself. And the mind comes up, because the mind is always working in the nature of self, trying to fix it, putting second and third things first, creating more disturbance, creating more issues and more problems. Whereas there is no problem, there is no issue in me. There never is a problem, there never is an issue in me. In the first instance, life in that body, listening to these words. No issue. Here we're aligning to love, which is life. One and the same. When I'm not serving myself, I am love. When I move from that into myself, I'm the world. And then when I don't see in the world what doesn't suit me, I reject. It's just like smashing the mirror because I don't like the look of myself. It's as simple as that. But we have to be swiftly attentive to see it in our being, in the immediacy of now. Not now they write about in books and all that rubbish. Just in the immediacy of who and what you are, in your being. And meditation here is only bringing ourselves back out of the world, as we do here on a weekly basis, just bringing ourselves back out of the world to realigning with the stillness. And when the world shouts at you, which it will, through other people, other persons, partners, whatever, we don't react. We just see the situation exactly as it is. We see why the other is shouting or the other is in pain. We're not reacting or defending. We're just seeing it in stillness. And given stillness, it's space and time, free from myself. And the issue dissolves. Whatever it is, it dissolves. As I mentioned earlier, if I have an incurable disease, it is not a problem. Myself makes a problem out of it. That is the fact. I am in the fact. I am being in the fact. No issue. Seeing it as it is, acknowledging it as it is, and being in that state of gratitude, just gratitude, thanksgiving for what is, nothing else, just what is, so be it. I am not this projection. I'm not this tiny little minuscule world that I project with all of its problems. My true nature is far greater than this. Myself can never see it. Even the snake, when it lets go of its skin, as it does, it sheds its skin every year or other. As it wriggles free of its skin, it just goes on its way. It doesn't come back into it again. It's not dragging any external stuff around with it. So who is myself? It's just like the external skin on the snake, but we're pulling it with us. My troubles, my hurts, my pains, my woes. So I was abused as a child by a very cruel teacher, bless her. Who's carrying it now? Who's pulling this skin of self behind it? Only myself. I'll go to the fixers or psychiatrists to try to help me to come to terms with this terrible weight of myself I'm pulling behind me, with all these belief structures and the disappointments and everything else. What am I fixing? What is this self? Just see the intelligence in the snake. Once it sheds its skin, it lets it go. If you're in a country with lots of snakes, and you see them everywhere, the trees and the attics of the houses, just empty skins. The snake is continuing with life. Myself doesn't have that intelligence. Myself is carrying its problems, its issues, building its house on bridges, looking for permanence where there is none. There's no permanence in the projection. It's like the Enterprise, Star Trek, in the holodeck. We have to send the robot in to try and rescue you to come out. You're in there too long in our issue and our problem. We get so wrapped up in our problems, we die in them. Some are killed by their problems. No freedom. How can I have freedom when I have a troubled mind? My mind is myself. Where is love? No love in myself. There never is. Myself is want, is need, projected consciousness, exploitation of all others it perceives. Shadow consciousness. The reality is in my being, the being in the body listening. First things first. When this alignment is naturally in my projection, then whatever has been projected through me is not disturbance. It's not world. It's as simple as that. And we mustn't believe any of this, because believing it takes us into another structure external to us. It's just resonating the truth of it in your own being, in your own experience. Suddenly everything is all right now. Everything is always all right now. The speaker speaks from experience, his experience only, not from anything else. And the truth is in your experience only, not in anything else. The speaker might say to you, he speaks from the subtle body before it takes form. But if that's not true in your experience, then you mustn't accept that. Just let the truth of it resonate in your being. And that's your realignment with your true nature in your experience. That is it. I am life in this body in the first instance, the only life there is, listening to these words. As it comes in the poem, Solitude. I am out of humanity's reach. In deep meditation, in the deep stillness of your being, you're out of humanity's reach. I must finish this journey alone. Only you, nobody else in your body. Only you. Isn't that the truth in your experience? Nobody else in there, is there? Only you. I must finish this journey alone. Going back in, coming home. Never hear the sweet sound of speech. Letting everything go. Just letting it all go. Everything external, letting it go. I start at the sound of my own, from whence it all commences. I start at the sound of my own. We cannot remember our first sound. That's in the projected consciousness, but yet it's there resonating in our being. The very first sound. The little infant pushed into life. The first sense of separation. Being pushed out of the womb, out into existence. And suddenly I'm in isolation. And this is coming back in. Coming back into that stillness before the first sound, coming through this body, the infant crying a moment after being pushed into existence. I am that infant in that body, listening, as in this body speaking. I am always this infant. I start at the sound of my own, from whence it's always commencing in this projected consciousness. I am much deeper than this, coming back in to the subtle within my being. And this is the coming home. And this is what Jesus says when he says, it is within you. It is only within. But all the great teachers, avatars of our time, all resonating the same message. It is within. Love is within. I see you out there. I see you. What do I see? I see my love within. That's all I see. Nothing else to be seen. And myself is the world, the projected consciousness of who I think I am, the dream that ends up the nightmare, where I'm trying to fix it and change it, and smashing others because I don't like what I see in them, which is really a projection of myself. There is no disturbance in me, and this is coming home, our true nature, where life is. I, in this body listening to these words, am this life in the first instance. I alone am this life in that body. Not I, the speaker to you, that's a projection as well. I in that body. And this is the unity consciousness. We all are in the oneness of our being behind this projection. Myself can never see this. There's no need. Just let the projection go, as we let yesterday go. Like the snake letting its last year's skin go. Just let it go. Fingers open, being present, always being present, being in the immediacy of who and what I am, life in that body. No issue, no disturbance. Even as this body passes through what is perceived as death, of course the body goes, like the skin of the snake. But I am. Who am I? No answer required. Just let the question rest in your being. The one I, in that body. How blessed and sacred it is. And seeing it, all I can say is, thank you. Thank you, life. Just thank you. The only prayer there is thank you. I am out of humanity's reach. I must finish this journey alone. Never hear the sweet sound of speech. I start at the sound of my own. Thank you, man, for giving me these few words on a brown paper bag. Any questions? Anyone want to say anything? We have only 5 seconds left before Scotty sends in data to rescue us from the holodeck. Put it all back out to our robotic duties, the world. So thank us all for being here. Shall we come to stillness? And thank us all for resonating with the oneness, with the deeper consciousness in all of our beings behind these projections. And coming out of our individual worlds of seeming importance, and just touching the greater reality behind this existence in our being. And feeling the gratitude within us just welling up. Gratitude of thank you to life, love, to all that is. Thank us all.